I think perhaps the most common misconception that I hear from new landlords and tenants in Dubai when it comes to selling a property is that you can only sell it once it is vacant, right? They think that the transfer of ownership cannot happen during a time where there is a tenant occupying the unit, which is absolutely not true. Of course, you can sell the property when it is rented. And these lease details are mentioned in the Form F, which is signed between the seller and the buyer. If there is a transfer of ownership happening during the time of tenancy, and the tenant has paid any rent in advance, then that rent payment, the pro rata rent payment, calculated from the day of transfer until the lease end date, needs to be paid to the buyer as the new owner of the property. This payment is normally settled at the trustee office on the day of transfer, along with the tenant security deposit, which should now be held with the new owner until the time that the tenant vacates the property. The seller does not necessarily have to give a vacating notice to the tenant if he wants to sell the property. It can be sold, rented, and without any notice given. Although it can certainly aid when having a notice in place, because it is much easier to sell a property which is vacant or close to vacant. So let's say that 9 months of the tenancy contract have passed already, and the owner then decides to give a 12 months vacating notice to the tenant with 3 months left of the contract. In this case, the tenant has the right to stay for the remaining 3 months, and in addition to this, extend the tenancy contract for another 9 months until the end of the 12 months notice period. And in this case, he needs to sign an extension of the contract and pay pro rata rent for those additional 9 months.